Hey everyone, it's Alicia here from We to 3, back with another Trying to Conceive cycle update. Last week in my cycle update, you would have known that I had ovulated and was basically just starting my 2-week wait. I'd hoped by today that I would have a little bit more of an update for you, but as a surprise, I actually am still in the 2-week wait. Today is 11 DPO. If you've been following me for a while, you might be familiar with the fact that my cycles usually have 10-day luteal phases, which has actually been a problem in the past in that they were being too short. So today I'm 11 DPO, and if I can make it all the way to the end of today without starting my cycle, I will officially have made it to an 11-day luteal phase, and if it keeps going, I might even make it to a 12, a 13, or even a normal 14, which would be amazing. However, it does make it a little bit more nerve-wracking for me. Since my last 2 cycles have both had 10-day luteal phases, that would officially also make me 1 day late if I don't start today. However, I have been testing, and I definitely have only had big fat no's on my tests. I am having more symptoms than I've had in the last couple of months during my 2-week wait, and I think it may be due to more progesterone in my system. Kind of feels like each PMS cycle I've had since I have been back on track has gotten worse and worse and worse. So that would actually make sense. Like all the things that you ever Google, those are kind of happening right now. But like I said, just because I'm having them, it could all be related to progesterone in my body, and it's not necessarily HCG that's doing it. So I'm not reading too much into it. I just will say that like I'm experiencing more PMS / maybe pregnancy symptoms this cycle than I've had before, or have had in a really long time. As far as my chart, I will post a picture of it now. And if you can't tell by that, I did have a really sharp drop on day 9, and I did think that that was going to lead me to have ant flow either today or yesterday. However, it went right back up. So I don't know what it'll do tomorrow. I think if it goes down, that'll mean that I'm winding down, getting ready to have a cycle. If it goes up again tomorrow or stays about the same, I don't know. I guess we'll just see. That does indicate that you may be pregnant, so I don't know. We'll see about that. I will also get into just briefly something that I did post about on my blog. Besides my usual cycle updates, I did have an update from my doctor, my naturopath, about the progesterone test that she did do on my blood work last week. I did tell you guys that she was going to do a 6 DPO blood draw to see what my progesterone level was at, and unfortunately it came back and it was very low. It was high enough that she had thought I probably ovulated, especially since my temperature chart shows an ovulation trend. She said it was unlikely that I hadn't ovulated. She did say, however, that my progesterone level was low enough that she was concerned that even if I had an egg get fertilized, that it probably was not going to be a viable pregnancy after that. I believe it was like at a 5 point something, and they want to see it between an 8 and a 10 for that day past ovulation. I will say that I could have ovulated maybe just a smidge later on my chart than the day that I did, so it could have made me at 5 DPO instead. I will also say that we did draw on 6 DPO, and most of the time it's drawn on 7. And as I later found out, I mean, if you don't have normal cycles, progesterone draws aren't necessarily the most accurate indication of like what your hormone levels are doing, apparently. I say that because my naturopath also recommended, after I told her what my chart was doing, that I call my OB right away and get on progesterone supplements in case I was pregnant. So I did that on Friday at 4:30 while I was out of town at a bachelorette party, and I could not get through to my doctor's office. I called their advice hotline, I called the receptionist to make sure that like I got a call back from the advice hotline before they closed, and nothing. So I ended up calling the on-call advice line, and that put me through to my doctor directly because she was the on-call doctor that night. Needless to say, she did not necessarily agree with my naturopath, which made me very frustrated because she is the one who sent me to my naturopath. So I was under the impression that they were very similar in how they liked to treat and or diagnose things. And my doctor basically told me like whatever my naturopath told me wasn't accurate, or whatever my naturopath was doing was not accurate, which was, again, very frustrating. And told me I didn't need progesterone. She even had kind of the balls to say that I didn't ovulate this last cycle. Bless that woman's heart. I like her, but she hasn't seen me in 3 months. Like, how would she know is my thing. But like, I don't like it when people assume that they know everything. And my doctor is a little bit like that. I know it sounds bad, like that she sounds like awful, but she is a nice person. She's very direct and she's very like no BS. So I think she was just trying to like prepare me. So I told her after she said that like what it was looking like, and she told me that I didn't need progesterone supplement. If I got pregnant, like it would or would not affect me actually implanting and getting pregnant. She said once you are pregnant, we'll get you on them right away, but like until that point, there's not really a reason to go on them. So I took her at her word, and I'm just gonna go with that. I do have a naturopath appointment tomorrow, and I am gonna let her know everything that my doctor said, because I think that's important, and because I'm interested to see what my naturopath's response to that will be. I do think that my naturopath knows what she's doing. I think that her advice was probably sound, but I was not in a position of date and time and location to fight back on any of that. So it is what it is. It was pretty awful when it was happening, but I've kind of moved past it. And basically the decision that was come to by my doctor and I over the phone and had already been really brewing for me was that if this cycle is not a cycle that results in pregnancy, that we will move on to Clomid. And at that point, I'm going to pull in my husband to talk more about how we feel about the fact that our next cycle is going to be a Clomid cycle, the risks, things he's concerned about, and things I'm concerned about, and just go into that a little bit. So, editing magic. Look at that. Huge pop right in. So, like I said, next cycle is going to be our first cycle doing any fertility medication. And I wanted to include Edwin in this part of the conversation because I think it's important to get a man's perspective, a husband's perspective on how they feel about moving on to medication and things that they're worried about, things that I'm worried about. Moving to a fertility drug is a big step for us. So far, all the things we've done are pretty low-key, and this is a big step in the direction of a little bit more hardcore fertility treatment. So,
well, thinking for us that is a big step, but in retrospect, many couples often go to this stage right off the bat. So I feel comfortable knowing that one, we here has really done our homework, but I've looked into it too, and I think that we would have been silly to not try the naturopath option. And like Coach just said, our OB/GYN recommended the naturopath. Recommended working with her for, she said 6 months, right?
Yeah, we're just about at that mark. We're just about at the 5-month mark. And the naturopath did do stuff for us. It really got us to a new place where I am ovulating, or it appears to be that I'm ovulating. It just looks as though my ovulation could be stronger, which Clomid will definitely help with. I do have some concerns though, since I am back to ovulating on my own, about taking Clomid. As I said in a previous update, Edwin did get his analysis back and he is crazy fertile. So I'm a little concerned that if I take Clomid and hyperovulate, that each stinking follicle I develop, if I develop multiple and they all drop, they're all gonna go. So they're all gonna get, I'm gonna be pregnant with quintuplets. I'm really scared of that possibility.
And then selective?
I'm not about
it brings
that.
a whole new perspective, I guess you could say.
Well, it just brings in a bigger list of complications that we are facing versus what we had been doing before. The relative complications for what I have been doing are pretty much non-existent.
Right.
So we are moving to something that has a lot more complications. There's even potential risk, for my body itself, your ovary, ovulation hyperstimulation, where your ovary can't handle the amount of follicles you're developing, and
which is already a point of concern with the polycystic.
Exactly. I'm ready to do it because I think it is our best option. I am apprehensive still, and I do want to be really careful. So that's basically like what I just wanted to cover with everyone today. If I got my cycle tomorrow, I basically start Clomid on day 5 of my cycle and take it until day 9. And then I will have a 21-day blood draw. That will tell us whether or not I did ovulate, similar to the one I had at my naturopath, but apparently that will follow the rules more and be on actual day 21, which is apparently a big effing deal. So that's going to be a whole thing, and then I'll have a doctor's appointment to follow up about the Clomid cycle on day 29. The way I'm feeling right now is that I really like my OB. I want to stick with her, but I do think that if this next cycle, the Clomid cycle, the first one doesn't work, I think I'm ready to go ahead and call a reproductive specialist, an RE, a reproductive endocrinologist. There's a really great clinic, a fertility clinic here in Portland that I think after this Clomid cycle, if that doesn't work, I want to try and get into, because I would like to at least be monitored better while I'm taking fertility drugs than what I think my OB offers.
That might even be worth looking into just for starting Clomid.
It's different than a regular doctor because most of the time the waiting list for an RE for like a reproductive endocrinologist is higher because they're in demand and there's not as many of them. So getting into the clinic may or may not take a minute, and so that's why I want to wait for this Clomid cycle, because I don't want to try and like run in there right as I'm starting Clomid. Plus
that adds another stress level, I guess, because it's been so easy to rearrange the schedules
and appointments.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Layer of stress.
If we go to an RE's office, it will definitely be a lot more time like off of our day for sure. Like I will have to. He doesn't necessarily need to do much, but like I will have to go to appointments usually like in the morning to watch the development of follicles, and just there's a whole like another level, and I will have to work around a very busy clinic schedule that like I don't have control over. My other doctors are pretty good about getting in on my schedule, so all of these things are scary a little. I'm really actually excited to go on Clomid because I feel like it will work for me. I am a little concerned that it won't work for me without progesterone starting after ovulation, but that's another reason I want to go to an RE, because I think that they will listen to that part of it a lot better than my OB does. I think that she's very well versed and she's a very smart woman, but I think that the level of personal care I will receive at a reproductive endocrinologist and at a fertility clinic is higher than I will at my very busy OB's office, where she's seeing pregnant patients and older patients and me and like everyone under the sun.
Only really expecting telephone calls while she's on call for surgery.
Yeah, and so I want to be somewhere where someone who knows my whole case, knows my concerns, actually is looking very like intently and in detail at my case and has more time to devote to it than a regular OB does. I think that's the biggest impetus for me being like.
I imagine they have shorter term goals instead of the OB who has long term goals of like, we will get you pregnant.
I appreciate the long term goals too. Like I think that's a huge chunk of it. But at this point, we've done everything we can. I've lost like 25 pounds. I've been on multiple supplements and vitamins. I've been getting acupuncture once a week for like 5 months. So I mean, if that 2 cycles of fertility massage, like if that didn't do it, we need to be somewhere that it will.
Right.
And that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today. I want to cut this video off just because I don't want it to go on for 27 minutes, which we could talk about this for.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for all your support this cycle. I've already had a few people email me and like find a way to message me and be like, hey, I'm really rooting for you. I'm watching for your updates. Don't get discouraged. You're still in the running. All of those have been really helpful. So until next time, prayers and baby dust to all of you guys. Love you. See you next week. Bye.